Hi angels, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, we have a different background because I am filming from my bedroom. Ideally, I wanted to film in the living room because as you can see, my bedroom is not aesthetically pleasing at all. So right before I moved to Florida, I used to share this bedroom with my 16-year-old little brother. Obviously, we were younger at the time. The reason why I say 16 is because he was unalived. I used to share this bedroom with B when I was younger, and we used to fight all the time. We have we have twin beds next to each other, and I've literally shared a bedroom with my little brother my entire life. But literally when we moved a month later, he died. We were all very flustered with making decisions and me even moving. Like that felt like too much. I decided to stay and leave everything as it was, and that's why I'm here in this room. It's so funny because I've always wanted to experience my own room, especially in New York, because I've never had that, but in Florida I did. We all each had our own rooms over there in Florida, and then just as I was about to move downstairs and I was literally about to have my own little room to look fabulous in, that whole thing happened, and it's just so crazy the way that everything unfolded. But anyways, I guess I just wanted to give like a little background on the reason why my room looks like this. We literally don't fit in here. If anything, I want this video to be like a little bit more podcast style. I don't want to read off so many points from my phone. I just want to speak from the heart and just chit chat and vibe with you all. For so long, I was so ashamed of my room because I hated the fact that I had to share with my little brother. But then after everything happened and now that he's no longer here, this is like a little time capsule of my entire life. Oh my god, I don't know why I feel so called like speaking about this. But yeah, for so long I was so ashamed, and now I just don't even care anymore. And the reason why I probably feel so called to speaking about him is because the topic of today's video literally came to me as I was bawling my eyes out last night. I was going through my green journal. Keep in mind, well, you probably don't know this, but I have a different colored journal for like every year of my life, I guess I'm gonna say. I've been journaling since I was young. I'm gonna say about 8 years old, if I'm not mistaken. I had like a little diary. I've always written about my life journey. I've always felt like my life is very important. I've always felt like that girl. No, but the reason why I've always journaled is because I love being able to look back and think to myself like, wow, like I've grown. Look at how far I've come. And I would consider myself a great manifester because I've manifested my entire life. And even though some things right now that I'm like a mini adult, I say a mini adult because my frontal lobe is still not fully developed. I don't consider myself like an adult. You know what I mean? I'm in the process of becoming an adult. I just turned 21. So that's why when you hear me say mini adult, it's because like I don't really consider myself like an adult. I still live with my parents, so yeah. But last night I was looking through my green journal. I'm actually gonna give you a little backstory to this. So last year was the year that my brother died, which was in 2023. Right before that happened, I had so many spiritual awakenings during that moment. I always have one at least multiple times a year. But last year there were so many signs that not that I ignored, but like you don't expect your brother, your sibling to die, you know what I mean? So that's why I was never able to like put two and two together. But now that everything since has happened, I've been able to learn and be more in tune with my body. I'm trying to explain the story without falling off track, even though there's like so many curves within the story. But anyways, I had just recently moved back to New York City from Florida. I was starting a brand new chapter of my life. I was going to be moving to my own little room, my own little space, which felt very big girl of me because that's what I've always dreamed of. I also got like, you know, a job that I really wanted, even though it wasn't like the highest paying job, but it was a good step into having more connections. I also did a couple of things that I thought that I wanted, and then I realized like, maybe this is not the right direction for me, and that's okay because that's how you're able to learn and grow. But I was just finishing, I think it was my blue journal. Every color of my journal has a different meaning to me. I don't exactly remember what the blue one was for because I have to go through the journal and actually read it. I don't love to go back so much to my journals because they're a little bit traumatic for me. I would have to go back to the blue one to figure out what that one was about. However, I do know what my green one was about, and Basically, my word for this year, well, I can actually say it because I'm coming towards the end of this year. My word for this year is foundation. I love picking words for each year because I feel like when I have a word, I keep that in mind and that's what I work towards to. I also keep that word in mind when I'm creating my vision board. So if you're here from my vision board video, hi, and thank you so much for watching. Like, I'm so happy to have you here and I'm so happy that it resonated with so many of you. So last year when I moved back and I was finally about to settle in, I had just finished my blue journal and I was just about to start writing into my green one. I remember in the blue journal, the last few pages, I was just talking about how this was like the end of an era because I just moved back from Florida. I'm starting this brand new chapter in my life. Keep in mind, when I was living in Florida, I feel like that's a whole video of its own that I'm able to create for you guys because I feel like it was supposed to be one of the best chapters of my life. And while it was great in some areas, mentally it really was not. It was just weird in general. Like, I feel like weird is the only way to describe it. Now that I'm finally moving back, it felt like this ending, like this mourning of an old version of me. Those days where I finished my blue journal and my green journal, the last few pages of my blue journal was just me being grateful for this brand new chapter because it feels like something new is about to happen. Like, I'm entering a new era of my life and oh boy, did I not know what was about to happen and how it was about to happen. I just knew that it was time for a new chapter to unfold in my life. So I wrote all about those feelings in those last few pages of my blue journal. It felt very significant for me because, as mentioned, it was like this rebirth that Dynasty was about to experience. While it felt really good, it also felt really scary because I knew something big was coming. I had all of the signs there. I even had a butterfly sit on my shoulders. I remember on July 4th, which was very significant for me because I just felt this overwhelming change that was about to happen in my life. And I cried. Literally, I was crying the entire day. I'm like, oh my God, like, I feel like my life is changing in like huge ways. A journal always represents a different chapter of my life, and the fact that I started this green journal, which represents just building the foundation of my new life, is very significant to me and very crazy. And so last night when I was actually reading the first few pages, because I'm about to finish this journal, I was crying so much and I'm like, wow, like, I survived a lot. It's so bittersweet because while on some areas I'm like very heartbroken about everything that happened and the way that everything unfolded, and I have literally proof of everything that I went through. I also have this different perspective and this different side of me that's very thankful of at least the way that everything was taken care of and handled. Everything that happened for a reason, and it finally got us to this point in my life. In some strange, weird way, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm still here and that I'm still standing and that I'm strong and that I learned and that I'm here sharing my story with you guys, well, my little crazy weird stories with you guys. And I'm happy to talk about it because, as mentioned before, I've always been a great manifester. Last night as I was reading through my journal, it was a very big pivotal moment for me because I'm like, wow, like, I've always wanted certain things. Like, I wanted my life to change. I wanted to build the foundation of everything that I wanted, and now that I'm finally here, it kind of made me realize, like, okay, I'm currently at a point in my life where I want to manifest a lot of major things now that I finally feel ready, especially mentally. However, how can I do that while I'm still living in my current reality? That's kind of like the chapter that I'm in, so I kind of wanted to speak to you about it. Let's vibe a little bit and let's dive deeper into this topic together. My entire life I've always wanted things that kind of feel unattainable because I've never seen anyone, you know, within my family or like friendship wise, I've never really came across someone that has everything that I've always wanted. It's always like, oh yeah, I'd have this, but like I didn't go for this because I didn't think I could have it. So I've always had people like that around me, and I've always been the opposite where, yeah, it might feel impossible, but I don't think that it's impossible for me. Like, I think it's very much possible for me to have it. If I could dream it, I could have it, you know? That's always been like the type of mentality that I've always had. And despite my circumstances and the people that I've always been surrounded with, I think this is something that I learned entirely on my own, which makes me really proud of Dynasty. It took a lot of hard work and dedication to even get to this point, and one of the ways that I was able to do that is by cutting out the noise and listening to what it is that I really, really want. Do you know how hard it is to even get to that point? Like, it's so hard, but I feel like it's much more harder to not listen to that inner voice that you have. It's much more harder to go your entire life wondering, what if I actually would have done this? Stop being so afraid. I would rather live my life knowing that at least I tried, not spend my entire life wondering what if and what it could have been. One of the ways that I love to listen to that inner voice within myself, or maybe like that inner child within myself, is by journaling, by reading, by meditation. Sometimes I don't always meditate, and if you don't feel like you're a meditator and you just can't get into it, one of the things that I highly recommend is just taking a walk outside and don't listen to music, don't listen to a podcast, don't listen to a book. Just go outside with your own thoughts, with your big little brain, and just think. Be very present in the moment and allow yourself to just see what thoughts come to your mind. We're constantly being so overstimulated, so I feel like when you're finally alone on your thoughts, you're seeing what's actually being fed to your brain by just looking at the trees. Start paying close attention to what's being brought to your attention. What are actually the intrusive thoughts that are coming to your mind right now? That's how I've been able to learn my little inner voice. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you that I've been going on walks. I don't, but I do have 2 dogs that I have to walk outside, so that kind of like forces me to, listen to my own thoughts when I'm outside. I try not to listen to music while I do that, and every time that I'm outside, I'm sending voice messages to my best friend, and I'm like thinking this and that, and I just go on this whole entire rant that randomly came to my mind, and I would have never known of those thoughts if I had never cut out the noise. So I highly recommend cutting out any distraction, cutting out any noise that's getting in the way of you speaking with yourself and just being alone with your thoughts. As humans, we were not meant to be overstimulated at all times, so when we finally get the chance to not be overstimulated and we kind of feel weird, that's the whole point, because that's where you start to learn about yourself a whole lot more than you could have ever imagined. I need a water break. You want to know what's something else that I've been learning about manifesting my dream life as I'm still accepting my current reality? I was talking with my best friend yesterday, which was another thing that inspired this topic of today's video. And we were speaking about something that I've been wanting for so long. I think I've always wanted this one thing my entire life. I'm obviously not going to share like what that manifestation is because it still hasn't happened for me yet. However, one thing that I do want to mention is that this manifestation includes other people. This manifestation includes my parents. And I was speaking to my best friend and I was like, wow, like if only I could have this one thing, I'll be so grateful. Like I just can't wait for that chapter of my life to finally happen for me, even though it feels nearly impossible. But she brought up a good point, and she told me that my manifestation is including other people, and other people's timing is very different from my timing. Like if I'm meant to have something but they're not, that's going to be delayed for me. And it's going to be delayed for a reason, because timing is everything. Timing is everything, you guys. So I also wanted to remind you that when your manifestation includes other people, it's going to be delayed, it's going to take a lot of time, and it's also going to make you realize is this really what I want? Even though I've wished for this my entire life. So I was talking with my best friend and really thought that this one thing that I've always wanted was truly coming from a place of deep desire. But then when I started speaking on it and I started to realize, especially during this eclipse season, it makes you rethink your entire life. But the more that I thought about this manifestation, I realized that I wanted this one thing with my parents, because in a way I kind of felt guilty if I didn't. I was thinking about that thing that I wanted through this place of guilt and fear, not necessarily from this place of desire and wanting and longing for it, And when it's coming from a place of guilt and fear, of course it's going to be delayed. Of course it's going to take its time. It's because it's really going to start making you question, is this really what you want? That was a very huge moment for me. That was very pivotal for me. And so yeah, I wanted this one thing. I felt guilty if I didn't include my parents, but I realized that Plan A made me feel like that, but this Plan B, I'm just gonna separate it, right? Plan A, I'm doing it because I feel guilty and I live in fear and I am a people pleaser. However, Plan B is a greater plan. It benefits all of us, and it's even bigger. It feels a lot more scarier, but it gives me that independence that I've always been craving as a child. It also makes me feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. That is how I know that Plan B is a much better decision and manifestation than Plan A, because it feels liberating, it feels freeing, it only feels right, and that's how you know you're making the right decision when it comes to your manifestations. So make sure that you're thinking with a clear head, cut out the noise, and really make sure that what you're manifesting is truly what you want, and you're not just putting that desire out there because it's being projected onto you by other people. Alright, so the next one that I wanted to speak about was about having these thoughts of positivity. It's a little bit hard to explain, but I'm actually gonna Google it because I got this idea from a book that I was reading. So the book is called Ask and It Is Given by Abraham Hicks. I love this book so much. I actually read this book right before my entire life changed last year. I feel like that was such perfect timing, and I also feel like it got me through a lot of tough moments in my life. But this book taught me so many principles when it comes to manifestations, especially the basics of it. I feel like, yeah, like I want a car, I want a house, but you don't really understand that it is your birth-given right to ask for these things from the universe, and it will happen for you. So this kind of gives you the background of how manifestation even became a thing and how it is your natural birthright, and just giving you, I think, about 22 principles that you're able to follow when it comes to this manifestation guide. I learned so much from it, and one of the practices that I love to use is called Rampage of Appreciation. By the way, he has so many principles. Like there's Rampage of Appreciation, there's the Magical Creation Box, the Creative Workshop. Each individual one is basically a different manifestation practice that you're able to do within your everyday life. It's pretty simple, it's pretty basic, but it makes a world of a difference, especially when it comes to your emotional well-being as you're trying to manifest this new reality for yourself. It's pretty awesome. I highly recommend that you read that book. Basically, the Rampages of Appreciation are a great way to move from neutral or a good mood to an even better mood. To do a rampage, simply speak a thought that feels good, take a moment to notice the feeling of the thought, and then speak a thought that feels even better. I have a little story with this. So last year when I moved, I didn't have any parking. I have a car, by the way. Living in New York City, if you have a car and you have no parking that you don't pay for, like, it was a very hard life because I had a job as well. So I had to like constantly move my car from different sides based on the day that they were cleaning. I do not even want to remember those hard times, but it was real and it sucked. And I just remember one time, like I got so tired and I was literally crying in my car, and I'm like, I want a parking. Like, I'm so freaking over this. I'm tired of this life. Like, I did not move back to be struggling like this. Absolutely not. I remember this Rampage of Appreciation, and I'm like, wait, like, let me actually put these principles into practice. I don't want to be looking for parking anymore, but let me actually focus on what it is that I want. Focusing on what you don't want, kind of forcing you to look at the negative aspects of life, and you're kind of putting your vibration onto that same level, which is no good. You start speaking about the things that you do actually want. It lifts up your vibration, therefore matching it to the things that you're desiring, therefore, once again, allowing it for it to be easier to actually enter into your life, because at this point it's becoming normalized. It's not something that feels out of reach or out of touch. It's something that you're vibrating with on the same frequency at the same time. In that moment, I realized, okay, I know that I don't want to be looking for parking. My body already knows that. My body already doesn't feel good. It's really messing up my emotional well-being because I'm literally here crying sitting in my car, thinking about the fact that I don't want to be looking for parking. As I'm driving looking for my little parking, let me think about the things that I do actually want. I want a parking. I want a parking that's not far. I want a parking that's right in my budget. I want a parking that is able to cover my car so it doesn't have to be like sitting outside fully. So I started to be very specific, and it definitely raised up my vibrations, and it felt really good to think about the things that I wanted. Crazy enough is that I think the next day my dad either gets a phone call or he runs into somebody that has a parking available and was asking him if he would like to take the parking, and then my dad calls me telling me about the parking spot so that I'm able to go check it out so like we could have it. And I'm just like, that happened so quick. And what's crazy is that I didn't even put a timeline or a time frame. I feel like when you do, you kind of just, I don't know, you make life a little harder for yourself, because if you don't achieve that one thing that you put in a specific time frame, it's almost like you're letting yourself down, so therefore you're not allowing yourself to dream anymore. I don't love putting time frames and timelines into like the manifestations that I want. That was quick. Like, that was the next day. And that was just by thinking and switching my thoughts. So I highly recommend this manifestation tip. Whenever you want to manifest something into your life, think about a good thought. And then once you know that your body feels good in that, think about an even better thought and just start stacking those thoughts up. And you're gonna start noticing that your vibrations feel much more higher than how you started. And that is how you're personally able to match your frequency to that thing that you're desiring, which allows it to become easier to naturally come and welcome it into your life. But anyways, angels, this is the end of today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed this little girl chit chat that we had. As I'm talking with you girls, I'm literally emotionally processing everything at the same time, and it feels really good to feel refreshed and have this new way of thinking towards the end of my videos. I'm very active on my Instagram and my TikTok, in case you would also like to follow me on there for more life updates about me and my crazy little life. Let me know what are some of the things that you would love to welcome into this new version of yourself, and honestly, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you would like to see more videos like these from me. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Go dream big.